What's up, guys? Welcome back to Pound for Pound House. Today we are talking about, the one and only Alexander the Great and Ilia Topuria. But before I get started on this, please, guys, like this video and please subscribe right now. And let me just jump into this because this fight is absolutely massive for both guys and for the division. So I'm excited to talk about this fight, and I think we should just jump right into it. Let's do it. Let's start off with the El Matador, Ilia Topuria. So he's 26. He's a young guy, which is always good in this game. He's got 14 wins. He's undefeated, which is also an amazing thing to do in the fight game. He's 5'8". I think he's 5'7", actually. I don't know if this is correct, but I think he's 5'7", and obviously, he fights at the featherweight division. He's had 4 TKOs, 8 submissions. He's overall well-rounded. I mean, he's, you see his resume is pretty decent. He's also got a 69-inch reach, and, he's fighting, I believe, out of Spain. But then I think on the UFC website, it says Germany. But I also thought he was Georgian. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments below. So yeah, his most notable recent wins obviously were Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell, he was able to submit with the arm triangle, and then when it comes to Josh Emmett, he beat him very convincingly. Pretty much won all the rounds for the most part. But I was watching his fights, right? And I was watching those last 2 fights just to kind of like recap on him, kind of like, refresh my memory. And I want to say that the way he fights is interesting, right? He's just so well-rounded. He's able to, he's able to strike, which, like, you could tell, like, he was striking with Josh Emmett. And Josh Emmett, we just saw what he did to Bryce Mitchell. Pretty much sent him to the shadow realm with the, with the couple shakes. Sorry. But that's what happened. And he obviously beat Bryce Mitchell very convincingly at his own game. He beat him with a choke. I mean, a lot of people were thinking, at least, that Bryce Mitchell was going to win if he got him to the ground, and that did not happen. So, looking at him, he's so well-rounded, and he's so, like, I want to say he's a very dense fighter, right? So that gives him a good advantage because he kind of like levels out the same height with Alex. It's going to be interesting how he approaches the fight. Does he approach it in a more striking manner? Does he go to the ground? Does he, make this a grappling match? Or what does he try to do here? Obviously, because we know how Alex is, and we'll get into him in a second. But being that he's a younger guy, he's up and coming. He's got some decent names under his belt, two major names, obviously, and he's a guy who's willing to go in the fire, and he's gonna go punch for punch, right? He's gonna go strike for strike, so he's not willing to back off, and he fights low. Like, if you see how he is, he stays very low. He keeps his chin tucked. He's striking all the way, and when he's striking, at least he's keeping his chin tucked, and he's just, he's focused. He's sometimes, I think with the Bryce Mitchell, he was very, like, he was kind of swinging for the fences, but when it came to Josh Emmett, he was still, like, more tucked. But yeah, I think both fights, he was still very tough, but he was swinging for the fences a lot more with Bryce Mitchell. But when it came to Josh Emmett, he was able to take a hit, and he was able to give Josh Emmett a hit. And taking a hit from Josh Emmett, no joke. But let's jump into Alex, and let's break down his stats and break him down as a fighter first, and then I'll go into predictions. Alexander the Great Volk. If you don't like this guy, I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing not to like about him. Like, it's insane that you could even hate the guy. He's just such a great guy. He's such an awesome person. He has to be on almost everybody's top 5 fighters, active fighters, I want to say. Not talking about all time, but at least active fighters. He's got to be at least on your top 5, if not at least your top 10. He has to be on almost everybody's list. But yeah, so Alexander Volkanovski, he's 35 years old, so he's obviously much older. You know, that always plays a factor for a lot of fighters. He's on the same height range, 5'6", a little bit shorter, but you know, we obviously see what that height can do as for beneficially and also how it can be bad. I think he has a longer reach than Ilia. He has 71 inches in reach, which is, you know, obviously great for him. His only 2 major losses that were in the UFC were from Islam Makhachev and, you know, some even say Max Holloway too, but I'm not going to start a pot with that. But yeah, he's obviously beat every single like main card person or top 5, top 10 person in the featherweight. He's cleared that whole damn division out. His resume obviously speaks for itself. He's got champions under his belt. He's got everybody. So, you know, there's nothing that I can say about him that isn't said already. He's obviously the great for a reason, because he's willing to show up when nobody else is. And, you know, Islam Makhachev, he fought him, right? His first fight with Makhachev was like, I want to say, we saw one of the best Volks ever because he went up to 155 and, you know, he went toe to toe with arguably one of the best fighters today on the roster. And he really, you know, showed out. I still personally believe Islam won that fight. But, you know, listen, if you had Volk, good for you. You know, it's all good. I'm not mad at you for that. And, you know, it is what it is. Judges made a decision. That's that. Nobody's changing it. So, when it comes to him in his recent fight, aside from Makhachev, Yair Rodriguez, everybody was like, oh shit, you know, Yair's going to come out and just do some crazy shit, which, you know, even for a second, I kind of bought that too, where it was like, you know, Yair's going to come in and do some tricks or whatever the hell he's going to do, is like weird style of fighting and use all his, like, how he knocked out Korean Zombie with the elbow. And they were like, oh, he's going to do all these things and, you know, he might be able to, you know, take out Volk. But clearly that didn't happen. Volk took him out. And then moving into Islam, that last fight, he took on such a short notice, 10 days, 12 days, whatever it was. Obviously didn't work out in his favor. Got head kicked. It was so recent in October. And, you know, really messes with somebody's mind with the concussion like that. To come back, you know, so soon, February. It's still like, what? That's still about 4 months, give or take. I mean, that's great and all, but what does that really do, right? Somebody like him who's also showed that he's struggling, you know, with keeping his head down between fights. And, you know, now, obviously we saw that side of him, and somebody that's been KO'd now, and now seeing that, like, devastatingly KO'd. And now he comes back super early, I want to say. How does that really affect his psyche? Does he come back more stronger? Does he come back more cautious than he usually fights? Because usually that's what happens to people that get KO'd like that, right? I mean, if you think about it, what happened to Usman when he was fighting Leon the second time around? He came back sooner than he probably should have, and he became very cautious. He wasn't swinging like he would on a regular basis. He was more laid back, more timid. He didn't want to go after Leon as much. And even then, he still put on an amazing fight. But, you know, obviously lost because he wasn't more aggressive. Because he probably had that in his back of his head. They're like, hey, I don't want to get kicked again and not get knocked out, right? So he was definitely, you know, he he probably is definitely thinking in his head. I'm sure he's probably having that somewhere in the back of his head that, hey, there's a possibility that can happen to him again. Speaking of Volk, I feel like that could be a downside for him. But moving into my prediction now, how does this go? Well, all right. So, as I was saying, I was watching Ilia's fights just recently, and I was looking at how Ilia was fighting, and Ilia was very, like I said, chin low. He was, he was obviously he was patient, but he was, he was calculated to some degree, but he still was swinging for fences when he was swinging against Bryce Mitchell, but not against Josh Emmett. Now, Josh Emmett, granted, Josh Emmett is obviously a beast, and he can knock you the hell out. So I could see why he didn't do that. But now, does he take that same approach against somebody like Volk? The thing about Volk is that Volk is so calculated, and so measured that Ilia could take that approach and Volk will adjust easily. He'll either adjust from that or to him going for defenses. Now, the thing is, I think that would be a very, very bad idea if Ilia goes ahead and starts swinging for the fences against him. He has to kind of look back at the Islam fight, because that's probably his best thing, because he's also a strong person himself as well. He's very strong, clearly. So he has to look back and say, okay, well, Islam was very patient with Volk. He was like waiting. He was timing his shots. He wasn't rushing in and trying to strike, because Volk is such a good counter striker that if he goes directly at Volk and tries to strike with him, it's not going to be a good night, I want to say, because I think Volk is going to be able to, like I said, adjust, counter, and land, and he possibly take him out. We don't know. I mean, obviously it hasn't happened yet, but Volk is good in that from that perspective. And now when it comes to the grapple, I mean, Ilia's obviously a very strong guy. We didn't see him up against a 155er like we have seen with Volk, but Ilia has a good chance because he's also lower to the ground and he's also a shorter guy, meaning to say he's able to probably match up, I want to say, when it comes to Volk. He's probably able to match up with the grappling, stay low. He doesn't have to worry about, grabbing from above. He can be somebody that can, probably even shoot on Volk and actually get a takedown much easier, opposed to somebody taller than Volk going after, him. Like Islam, how much trouble he had in the first fight, especially. So when it comes to Ilia, I think his key or his path to victory is that he's going to have to mix in a little bit of everything. He's going to have to keep Alex guessing at all times, because Alex, like I said, he's such an adjuster. He can adjust so good. He's going to have to keep him guessing, because Alex is going to have to keep trying to adjust to his way. He's going to have to bring a little something more new. Obviously, he showed what he can do against the last couple fights he's had, but he's going to have to really do something different this time when it comes to Volk. He's going to have to keep moving, keep adjusting, and to keep Volk guessing. I think, to me personally, I feel like that's his path to victory. I don't think the power is going to be the thing, because a lot of people are saying, even though, and I mentioned this earlier too, getting head kicked, getting KO'd the way he got KO'd, it can really affect you, and you might not be the same coming back, and you might be worried. But Volk is somebody that can take a damn punch or a kick or anything. He can just take a hit. We know this. Aside from that, Islam, he's fought the best of the best, and he can take a hit. I mean, we all know this. I think there's no denying that. So like I said, power is not going to be the deciding factor when it comes to Ilia against Volk. Now, Volk, obviously, we've seen so many sides of him, and obviously he's gotten so much better since the Islam fight and the Yair fight, Max Holloway fights, and all that. He's gotten so much better. So his his path, I want to say, is going to be this, just kind of almost stick to his game plan. His game plan just is usually just so solid. Like I said, he's just good at just adjusting to anybody's style. I think he can still get it done, and he can still win if he just sticks to his style like he always does. Keep moving. I think keep pressuring Ilia, because Ilia looks like in his last fights, he's the one who's always in the front foot. So rather than Alex staying on the back foot, just move forward. I don't think that going to the ground is the way in this fight. Because I think Alex can take a punch and give one. And I think Alex is going to be able to, there's a big chance he's going to be able to cancel out the punching if he just keeps, sticking to his style. I just feel like he is so measured. Like I said, how Ilia is measured, but I feel like Alex is just so much more measured, so much more controlled, so much more precise. I think that gets him the win in this fight. Once again, I don't think the power is the biggest factor here. I think Volk gets the job done. I don't know if he gets the job done like how he got it done with Yair, or how he got it done with the Korean Zombie. And I think he wins it by unanimous still. I just think this is going to be of a dogfight. I don't see Volk knocking Ilia out. I just don't see that happening. But I definitely don't see Volk submitting anybody. That's just not something that... I don't think Volk has ever... I think he has like one submission. Is that what he has? I think he has like literally one or like 3 submissions. Yeah, he doesn't have that many. In 26 fights, he has like 3 submissions, or 28 fights, 29 fights. So, 3 submissions. I don't see him going for that. That's not probably his way. It's not how his ways fight. So he's going, likely case is going to decision, but it's going to be a dog fight. It's going to be a barn burner. And I think my official prediction, like I said, I think it's going to be Volk, but I think it's going to be by decision. And Ilia is, I want to say, I know he's risen to the top really fast, but I don't think he has the enough experience to handle somebody like Volk. And I'm not no Volk fanboy, so I just want to keep people, want people to understand that, because I know there's going to be some shit comments in the comment section. I'm buttering up Volk or whatever the hell it is. Honestly, I'm not a Volk fanboy. I was rooting for Islam, but it was hard to root for Islam because I also like Volk. I want you guys to know that. So I'm not against Volk. I mean, I'm not against Ilia either. I think Ilia is a freaking great fighter. I think he takes out pretty much most of the division if he fights them. The guy's an absolute savage. I just don't think the experience is enough to take out Volk, regardless of what happened 4 months ago for him. I think if he would have fought 1 or 2 more guys, maybe like Ortega, and maybe even Max Holloway. If he would have took out a Max Holloway, he would have had me sold 100%. But since that's not happening, and he was that guy that Alex had to take out because, he cleared out everybody else. Yeah. I don't see the fight going in his favor. But yeah, that's the official pick. Let me know what you guys think. Leave the comments down below. Do you guys think Volk takes it? Do you guys think Ilia takes it? Let me know what you guys think, man. Yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like this video. Also, if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can see all the new videos I upload.